And we are back. Welcome back to another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm Chris Wright, along with Calhoun County Sheriff Matthew Wade. Good to see you, Sheriff.
Hey, always good to be on the show. I've been busy a couple of weeks with the election and some other things happening, so I've missed being on the show.
Yeah, well, we understand you can't be here. We'd be upset if you were here every single week for the show. It's like you weren't staying busy enough, but we know you are.
Hey, busy is my middle name. There's always something going on, and you know, there are always new challenges. And in the day's world of technology, we've had one come up just in the last week where somebody was calling people in Calhoun counties saying that they were the circuit clerk and that they owed money, and if they didn't pay them over the phone right then, that me, the sheriff, would come out and arrest them. You know, and they were using.
How many of you arrested so far?
That's a goose egg. We don't do that. You know, the clerk's office doesn't do that. You know, but in the day's technology, they can make that phone number look like it came from the courthouse. They can make it look like it's the sheriff's office calling them.
It's amazing how much information sometimes people can give to make these things look real. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from my dad this morning. He sent me an email that he had received asking me what I thought about it. And this email had the name of someone that he had done some business with through this company, and it referenced the company that he'd done the business with. And it showed his routing number and the last 4 digits of his checking account, and had some other pertinent information on there that makes this look very legitimate. And then it says there's a problem with the banking system, and click here to update your banking info.
That's a negatory ghostwriter. Don't do that. Right. You know, here's the thing: is today's technology, people can get you. Don't ever do nothing over the internet if it's unsolicited. If you call your bank and want to update your info, well, then you know that that's good. But if your bank contacts you through an email and says, "Hey, do this," don't do it. Right. Call them. Don't call the number they say call. Look up the number and call them yourself. Just in this case with the scam going from the clerk's office, you know, sheriff's office doesn't call you and say, "Hey, give us money or we're not going to arrest you." That's not what we do. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, and if we have business with somebody, they know it's us. They can verify it's us. They can call the sheriff's office and talk to the dispatcher or me. You know.
So if you get one of these messages through the email or the phone and you have any question and concern about, okay, could this be valid, you want to get off the phone or outside of that email and go directly to the source without any help from. Don't ask them for a phone number to call.
That's right.
Don't click on a link that they give you in the email. Look it up on the online to get the phone number or website and go directly.
Anytime somebody asks you to give them money via electronic means, you know, send it through here, click this link. Anytime it's like that electronic, it's probably a scam. Mm-hmm. My bank has never sent me an email asking me to update my records. Mm-hmm. You know, they just don't do that. Nobody's has legitimately ever sent me a request to pay money online that I didn't know what that money was for and that it was legitimate. If I bought something from somebody on eBay or something like that, you know that you're doing that. So when they send you a PayPal request, you know who those people are. But this out of the random blue and people want you to send money electronically, it's a scam. Don't do it.
All right. Well, you folks have done a good job this week. We've got several more arrests.
Hey, up to 6 arrests this week. Almost forgot the most important part. Brings our count up to 4,019 people put in jail, all because y'all were willing to get involved. And let me just tell you, we sure appreciate the relationship we have with the citizens of Calhoun County.
Unfortunately, the list of people that we're still looking for doesn't seem to be any shorter, and we'll get to the first part of that list coming up next on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Remington Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Birmingham. He is wanted for murder. We've been looking for him for a few weeks now, and we continue our lengthy and detailed search. But if you have any information on him, we'd sure appreciate it. Next up is Morgan Thacker. Miss Thacker, last known to be living in Piedmont. She's wanted for failure to appear on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Ontarius Truitt. Mr. Truitt, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana second. And take a look at Ronnie Diamond. Mr. Diamond, last known to be living in Piedmont. He's wanted for failure to appear on assault third. And meet Amy Vines. Miss Vines, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property fourth. And take a look at Edward Holliday. Mr. Holliday, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted for failure to appear on writing multiple bad checks. And last up for the first half of our lineup, Jeremy Minton. Mr. Minton, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana second, use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
All right, we'll have some more bad guys coming up in just a little while. And Sheriff, we are glad to provide some temporary housing for the individuals that we see on the list here.
There's not a lot of room, but we'll always leave a light on for them. Kind of like Motel 6, the door's always locked, but we'll open it for them.
What we would prefer, though, is that people obey themselves, do the right thing, and end up with some good quality permanent housing.
Hey, anytime you can take somebody and get them to straighten up and become a productive citizen, that is the goal. The goal is for them to do the right thing and be good citizens.
And somebody that's helping towards that end, Terry Parker, the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity of Calhoun County. Good to see you, Terry.
Thank you.
All right, so Habitat for Humanity, an organization that most folks in this area are very familiar with. Of course, we go back to having a big build a few years ago where the former President Jimmy Carter was here, and we've had lots of things going on before that and since then. Where is Habitat for Humanity of Calhoun County right now in our community?
Okay, right now, Chris, we have built over around 150 homes, remodeled 40 or so. We have 2 that are in transition, about to turn over within the next maybe 4 to 6 weeks to already approved clients. And we hope before the end of the year to start in Oxford. We have a client and a lot for that new build in Oxford.
So things are going on. And what brings you to Habitat for Humanity?
I'm volunteered through a friend, Joel Denny, and we're still shocked with his sudden passing. But he asked me to volunteer. I worked with him about 5 months before becoming executive director. He instilled some confidence in me that was the right organization to be affiliated with. Joel never appeared second at the work site. He was always there before me and always there after me. So I've sort of taken it as a mission to follow in the footsteps that Joel led me there. And I believe it's a great organization. According to Forbes magazine, we are one of the most effective charities in the United States.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because sometimes people look at different rankings and stuff, and the problems in Houston, that's kind of brought to light more of this. People are seeing more about, well, this organization does this much with the money that you give them. But a lot of times those rankings aren't necessarily the whole story, are they? It's difficult to see those, and Habitat for Humanity, because of the volunteer aspect that you have going for you, it's a little bit, people don't necessarily get that full story if they look at some of those lists, do they?
That's right, Chris. You can't use a single barometer or a single set of percentages when you base the effectiveness of a charity. Habitat is roughly 23% as a national average on expenses donated strictly on raising money. What does not come into play is, you mentioned your volunteer pool, which is a large labor force. If we counted that amount of labor as a monetary impact, it would greatly reduce the expense of the 23% that we're ranked at now.
All right, well, let's talk about the impact that Habitat for Humanity has in Calhoun County specifically, and in general as well. But I know we had a story of one individual. We talk about quality, affordable housing. You know, there are people that are in homes right now that they really don't get the job done for raising a family. You were telling me about one lady that every time she wanted to cook for her family, she had to unplug her refrigerator, which then the food is spoiling.
Well, it probably would not be to that extent of having the food spoiled, but she could not refrigerate her food and cook at the same time. If her sons needed to study, something else had to be turned off to have lighting. So basically, one of the main criteria for being a Habitat affiliate is the need for affordable and decent housing. Anything that is substandard, such as plumbing, electrical, leaky roof, structural, heating and air, that would be the first thing that would make you a candidate, become a client of Habitat.
And let's look at what the other things are here. We've got ability to pay.
Right, you must have been on the job for at least a year, and you must live in Calhoun County, and you must have a good work and credit history.
And then beyond that, you need to be willing to not just participate, but to partner.
Absolutely, and everyone needs to understand, I've had people come to me and say, well, how do you give away houses? Well, we don't give away houses. We have people that have the willingness to volunteer with 275 hours of sweat equity. That can be working on their own home or another client's home. We also locally give credit for good grades and perfect attendance with any children in the home. So it's important that they have a sense of responsibility and take ownership of that.
Including the kids, not
That's
just the
correct.
adults.
And we find that, according to what I've read as I've been studying about Habitat, that if you reduce the number of moves that a child makes during school, provide some stability, that in turn gives us a feeling of well-being, self-esteem, which reflects better grades, a more stable home life, as far as children, whether we like it or not, worry when the parents worry. They know things that we may not think that they realize. And I think that affects some of their course of study. And we found that someone that is in a stable home environment is 116% more likely to graduate from college, go on and have a chance of home ownership for themselves.
And Sheriff, you've seen that in your own office as well, and we're going to find out more about that in just a second.
Absolutely.
You get to see the negative side and the positive side.
Absolutely.
All right, so stick around, and we're going to get you a true first-person story of the effects of Habitat for Humanity when we come back here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome back to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Brett Marlowe. Mr. Marlowe, last known to be living in Pell City, he's wanted for non-payment of child support, the face of a deadbeat dad. And this is McAllen Kissick. Mr. Kissick, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana second and illegal possession of prescription drugs. And take a look at Kenneth Presley. Mr. Presley, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for probation violation on possession of a controlled substance. And this is Teresa Pierce. Ms. Pierce, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for harassing communication. And take a look at Beth James. Ms. James, last known to be living in Piedmont, she's wanted for failure to pay on unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. And last up in our lineup this week, Kenny Woodrow. Mr. Woodrow, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to pay on theft of property. Third. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you know the whereabouts of these folks, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers at number 256-238-1414.
And we will have some more crime fighting for you to do here in just a few minutes. We'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show. We're talking about Habitat for Humanity of Calhoun County. And Sheriff, we've seen the statistics. If kids are in good, stable homes and they're not moving around and all this kind of stuff, they've got a good, proper home environment with a good, stable home around them, they're more likely to succeed in life, less likely to be unemployed and get into trouble.
Absolutely, and you know, we see that with Marcus Wood. Marcus is captain at the sheriff's office. He's over the entire law enforcement. So we got two sides. We got the correction side and the law enforcement side. Marcus is the number 3 person. It's the sheriff, the chief deputy, then Marcus Wood. And Marcus come to work for us when he was 18 years old as a young man. And from that point in time, from 18 to where he is now, he has rose from the very bottom to almost the very top. And I couldn't be more proud to call him not only my friend, but a co-worker. And Marcus is a fine example for many things. Many, we could have our own show about Marcus and talk about what kind of example he is. But you know, I didn't even know I didn't even know that he was part of the Habitat for Humanity project till we started talking about this show. And you can tell us how that come about, but we didn't know. But it doesn't surprise me that Marcus and his mother would be selected for something like this. And Marcus is like I said, a shining star at the sheriff's office that I just couldn't say enough good things about the young man.
Well, one of the things I want to mention is we wanted to bring some success stories, and as I started checking, they said Marcus Wood is a great example that he grew up in a Habitat home. So I contacted Marcus, and he readily said he would be glad to come on the show.
Marcus, how old were you when your family became involved with Habitat?
13.
13.
13.
So tell me about the sweat equity that you put in.
It was actually fun. I got a chance to meet, a gentleman named Jimmy Miller doing his volunteering and from Miller Construction. They were building our home, so him and a guy named Tom Brock from McWhorter and Company developed a relationship with them early on, and Jimmy and I still, and Tom also, we still talk to each other very, very often. So through Habitat for Humanity and working, even after our house was built, I still volunteered and helped build other people's homes through Habitat for Humanity, working there as a summer job. So it allowed me to meet a bunch of people, develop some long-time life relationships, and helped me to stay out of trouble also.
It should be noted when he got sworn in as the captain, Mr. Miller was there for his swearing in.
Yes.
So you never know what kind of relationships that you can make in life.
It's not officially a mentoring organization, but Terry, there's a lot of mentoring that does happen on the work site.
Apparently that's true.
Do you want to tell us any about life before and after moving into your home?
Yeah, it changed our life dramatically. My mom was a single mom, had me and my sister growing up. Before then, we lived in the Constantine apartments down there where there was naturally projects, there was a lot of violence and stuff at that time, so it enabled us to move away from that area and get away from that kind of atmosphere as we were growing up. And like I said, I was able to meet without a dad in the home, meet people like Mr. Miller and Mr. Brock, who were able to provide some mentorship and able to guide me in some areas as far as working, having a good work ethic, and be able to do some things to provide for myself as I was growing up and learn a carpentry skill as well while I was growing up. So it paid dividends on a lot of aspects of life.
Terry, it's just something that it seems like it's limitless in the number of positive aspects.
That's right. We like to consider that we don't really build houses. That's just a vehicle to get us to change a life, change a community. We have the principles based on Exodus 22:25, that if you loan money to a man, do not make him his creditor and do not charge interest. So each house that we build, we sell for the amount that we have in it, and we have a zero interest on that loan. There is actually a mortgage, and it's paid monthly to Habitat.
But no interest. It makes it affordable and something that people in this situation can actually do, whereas otherwise it would not be attainable.
That's correct. And we take maybe properties and build on those that have not been on tax rolls. About $25,000 a year go to property taxes from our Habitat clients. That provides fire, police, school monies to go in to the financial situation of the county. Over $400,000 annually for utilities that our clients pay, and over $100,000 in homeowners insurance premiums that are collected as well.
All right, so real quick, we're almost out of time, but if people want to get in touch to find out how they can volunteer or maybe apply to get a home for their family or just partner with you in some way, how can they get in touch?
They can call the Habitat office, 256-237-3700. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we have a store that people can come in and buy various items from the homes,
I've got some great
furniture,
items there.
building supplies, all sorts of things. We'd love someone to come by.
All right, thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you.
Marcus as well. All right, we will be back in just a moment with the Crazy Criminal of the Week and also our Crime Stoppers segment of Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show. We just have one case for you this week. On August 28th, packages were delivered to a residence on Airport Road and then promptly stolen from the front porch of that residence. If you have any information on that event, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, our crazy criminal of the week, Sheriff, is a man who kidnapped his own kids. Now, this isn't like a custody situation. He had custody of his kids, but he left them with a babysitter. And then he came home unexpectedly because he forgot something, and he finds his babysitter asleep on the couch. So he takes his kids without waking her up, removes the kids from the house, and then just waits to see what happens. She wakes up, starts calling him. He won't answer the phone.
That's kind of cruel right there.
Yeah,
That's kind
that
of
is
cruel.
cold.
That is cold, you know. And to say that any parent that's had kids that might not fell asleep or take a nap, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying it could happen. So,
So
she called the police?
she did. So my question is, I know that it's a crime to knowingly report a false crime, but is it a crime to cause someone else to report a crime that you know is false?
You know, I don't think that's a crime. I mean, I don't really think that's a crime because she, you know, when she called, she was in good faith. You know, what he did is, I think there's consequences for your actions. You can't stand in a movie theater and scream fire, and if somebody gets hurt, not be responsible. But if nobody was hurt, then, you know, it's very complicated. It's
Probably
not a
no
smart-
charges are going to be filed on this one, but she's never going to work for him again, either way, by her choice or
Or
his.
yes, that's, you know, wow. That's not smart.
No, it's
The responsible thing to do would have been to wake her up and tell her she was fired.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have for this week. We will be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.